"You all right, mate?" he called, though as soon as the words had left his mouth, he could see that he wasn't. He appeared to have fallen awkwardly, landing on his head and one shoulder, and now lay more or less face down with his neck twisted at an unnatural angle. Gideon went cold with shock. Oh, shit. He swung his leg over his horse's neck and slid off, leading the animal to the side of the track where, with shaking hands, he looped the reins over a sapling before hurrying to Damien's side. What could be seen of his face between the crash cap and the ground was smudged with dirt, the one visible eye half open but its gaze fixed. "Oh, God," Gideon breathed. "Damien, can you hear me?" He didn't really expect an answer, and he didn't get one. Kneeling down, he placed two trembling fingers against the man's neck, feeling for a pulse. He tried several positions without success, watching the back of Damien's navy bomber jacket for any perceptible rise and fall as he did so. There was none. "Come on, Damien. This is stupid." Gideon couldn't get his head round what had happened. In any other circumstances, the obvious course of action would be to begin resuscitation, but first aid training had drummed into him the cardinal rule that you must never move anyone with a suspected neck injury. Here it was a case of damned if you do, damned if you don't, Gideon thought desperately. Fighting against panic and the growing conviction that it was too late to help, he took his mobile phone from its pouch on his belt and keyed in 3 9s. "Emergency services," a female voice said, after a blessedly short space of time. "Which service do you require?" "Ambulance. Quickly. It's a riding accident, and I think he's got a broken neck. I can't find a pulse." "Right, I'm transferring you through to someone who'll take your details. Please hold the line." There was a faint click, and another woman said in a broad Scottish accent, "Ambulance emergency. What is the address of your emergency?" When she'd pinpointed Gideon's location, the operator asked for a brief description of what had happened, and Damien's condition. "You must hurry, please," Gideon said as he finished. "Okay, Gideon, try and keep calm. The ambulance is already on its way. Stay on the line. I'm going to hand you over to a paramedic who'll talk you through what you should do for the casualty." Before Gideon could thank her, she'd gone, and a masculine voice said, "Hello, Gideon, I'm Rick. Now, what's the condition of the patient?" Gideon was still kneeling beside Damien. He described the way he looked and felt for a pulse again with the same negative result as before. "And he's not breathing?" the paramedic asked when Gideon told him. "Right, well, we need to get him breathing again. Don't worry, I'll talk you through it." "I know how, but he's face down and I can't move him if his neck's broken." "I'm sorry, but I'm afraid we don't have any option. It's crucial that we restore heart and lung function, and we can't afford to wait for the ambulance to reach you. Exactly how is he lying?" Following the step-by-step instructions of the calm voice on the phone, Gideon began to turn the injured man with gentle hands, breaking into a sweat as he strove to do so without causing further damage. As he carefully lowered Damien's body onto its back, the blue jacket fell open, revealing a small red-rimmed hole in the center of his white T-shirt. Gideon recoiled in shock. "Oh, Christ," he said faintly, staring in horrified fascination, struggling to take it in. He'd fallen off his horse, for God's sake. He felt bile rising and swallowed hard. On the ground, by his knee, his mobile phone emitted a short burst of tinny vocals, and he reached for it, noticing with a fresh surge of distaste that he had blood on his hand. Where had that come from? Wiping his fingers in the grass, he picked the handset up. "Yes, I'm here." "How are we doing?" the voice inquired calmly. "I think he's been shot," Gideon heard himself say quite composedly, the words stating what his mind refused to admit. He couldn't have been shot. Ordinary people don't just get shot for no reason. It was a Sunday morning in Somerset, not a war zone. "Where?" the paramedic asked. "In the woods." The inappropriate humour caught Gideon unawares, and he was glad he hadn't spoken aloud. With an effort, he dragged his eyes away from the obscenity of that neat round hole. He knew the trainer had been wearing a back protector. Presumably that had prevented the wound being visible from behind. A cautious investigation revealed that blood had soaked his shirt. Under the Kevlar shield...